In today's episode, we're going to talk about how this rally to 50,000 is impacting this upcoming Pi cycle top indicator crossover many months down the line, but still we're going to be talking about how this price action is impacting that future crossover. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy data science videos like these on Bitcoin going forward, and let's dive right into it. So historically, we know that in the halving year, for instance, 2020, 2016, and also 2024, we know that we tend to see support retesting at the orange 111-day moving average. And this tends to be the case across the halving year. 2020 as well, we saw support retesting for many months after the pandemic crash below this orange moving average. So that was a bit of a black swan event there, but nonetheless retesting price action at the orange moving average in 2016 around the halving, retesting this moving average as a support going forward all the way to new all-time highs. This is going to probably be the next trend for Bitcoin, and any downside dipping below that orange moving average would be fantastic buy side opportunity, because we tend to very rarely see these sort of downside movements below this orange moving average. And you can see how we fantastically retested this in an almost picture perfect manner of this 111-day moving average as a support. And we're not going to be getting these sort of periods of accumulation below this moving average, because this tends to be a tendency we see in the pre-halving years. So the general gist is that if we were to see downside in the future, it would probably be along the lines of trying to retest this Pi cycle moving average. That would be the extreme version of a pullback. And if we're even lucky to see some sort of downside deviation, maybe something like this, what we would typically see in a pre-halving year, if we were to get some sort of downside deviation below the Pi cycle moving average, that would be a fantastic opportunity in of itself. But what I want to talk about in this video is how these moving averages are now. Just notice, especially on the green one, we're seeing a flick up. It's quite subtle here, but you can see how this strong upside over the past few days is impacting both moving averages to the point where they're both flicking up. And as a result, that crossover that occurs as a result in the future from a Pi cycle crossover to signify the end of a bull market, because we're seeing such phenomenal upside from Bitcoin, that is also really impacting where we'll simply cross over for a Pi cycle top for a bull market peak in Bitcoin's cycle. And you can see how, because of this upside, if we propagate these moving averages, that really does kick the can down the road. And you can see that 2025 is right over here. And the latest that TradingView is showing me here is late June 2025. So even further than that is where these current moving averages in their current form would cross over in a future bull market peak, so probably well into 2026. But what I really want to emphasize with this Pi cycle top video, and generally the series that I'm doing on the Pi cycle moving average, is that 2 weeks ago, for instance, we were probably going to get a crossover even in October 2024. That's what was happening, because we were seeing some sort of pulling back, not much price movement, some corrective movement, in fact. So that bull market Pi cycle top crossover was many months earlier than what we're seeing right now. So you can just see how maybe 10%, 15% movements to either direction are impacting this future crossover for the Pi cycle by several months at a time. So 2 weeks ago, when we were seeing a 18%, 15% correction in Bitcoin's price action, it was October 2024 for a bull market peak. But now that we're seeing phenomenal price action towards the upside, that bull market peak has been pushed into 2026. So the point here is that we're gonna see lots of volatility for Bitcoin, and this is going to be impacting this crossover as time goes on. But we're gonna have to keep in mind that while this orange moving average is going to be a fantastic buy the dip opportunity should we get there at some point in the cycle, we also have to talk about this resistance, which is 63k right now. And if we look to the past, and of course 40k here for the orange moving average, if we look to the past, for instance, in a new halving year, you can see in 2020, or was this already 2021? It's difficult to tell from this chart, but this is just showing that rejection from the green moving average tends to occur on the first attempt at trying. But if we also try to look at 2016, for instance, once again, on the first time of trying, we get a rejection and sometimes even back into the orange moving average for that buy side opportunity. But then we manage to break beyond that green moving average. Here again, on the first time of trying, rejection from that green moving average back into the orange moving average and then breaking beyond it quite successfully. So the thing to really take stock of is if we do continue this way towards the upside, and surely we will, but probably most likely after the halving event, when we reach this green moving average, which is representing 63k at this point in a cycle, we'll probably reject from there on the first time of trying, because that's what we tend to see from this pi cycle top indicator. We'll probably reject at 63k and a half once we get there, and we'll see one of the final retraces before we break out to new all-time highs, in fact. So that's something really to also take into account, not just the crossovers, but how we can use and utilize these two dynamic moving averages as vital supports and resistances. The orange moving average throughout 2024, if we do get any revisiting of this orange moving average, that's going to be a fantastic retesting opportunity. Any downside we can be below there, fantastic bargain buying opportunity. But also on the top side, this is the green moving average, a important resistance that's going to reject price on the first time of asking to prompt a retrace, which is also going to be one of those final opportunities for buyers before we break out to new all-time highs. So in conjunction, these two indicators, these two moving averages, come up with a vital and important pi cycle top bull market peak indicator that can give us a lot of insight into when Bitcoin is going to be peaking its bull market. But because we're seeing such upside right now, we're kicking that can down the road. But at some point in the cycle, we'll see another retrace around the halving, for instance. We'll see a retrace around the halving, as is historically the case. Feel free to check out that video. I'm going to post that tomorrow. This is a retrace that occurs around the halving, and we're going to see flicking down in both of these moving averages once again, and that's going to bring this bull market peak time much closer than we are seeing at this point in a cycle. But at the moment, we're seeing fantastic upside from Bitcoin, and the bull market peak is nowhere to be seen and it's nowhere close. So let's enjoy this part of the cycle, because we're running out of time when it comes to the pre-halving period. We only have 60 days or so before things really enter the parabolic phase of the cycle. Much to look forward to. The bull market peak is still nowhere to be found. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Speak to you soon.